Live from clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and WKMG. We're getting results in your neighborhood now at 6:30 p.m.
Good evening. This is News 6 at 6:30. Getting results. Thanks for joining us here live on News 6 Plus. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Emily McLeod. Both Justin and Ginger have the holiday off. Let's get right over to meteorologist Jonathan Kangas with tonight's pinpoint accurate forecast. Jonathan, it's a rainy night.
It is, yeah, for some of us anyway, especially the further west you are of the Atlantic Ocean. So for us in the Palm Coast, we're the exception here with some heavier thunderstorms still sticking around. A lot of lightning strikes over the past 30 minutes. We have a 30-minute time lapse on this. We're pushing this to the east now, this other bigger cluster of thunderstorms that have been over the Ocala National Forest, but are now pushing into downtown Ocala. So watch for some ponding on the roadways with this, some very heavy rain, tons of lightning pushing on through. We'll widen this out a little bit. We have a couple of downpours that we're hanging around Sorrento and a Tangerine and a Mount Dora. Those have since dissipated a little bit and pushed off to the west. Still has some very light rain for us. If we're heading out this evening in and around Palm Bay, Melbourne, West Melbourne, we have some scattered showers around. Same deal for Sinyeehaw Junction into Holopah, closer to St. Cloud, just a couple of sprinkles around. This will meander and fizzle out over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. It might hang on a little bit longer to that, closer to Palm Bay into Mico as well, as we have some light rain that will continue. We're going to pinpoint where these are headed again coming up, talk about the future radar. This unsettled stretch going to continue for us as we move through the first week of September. We're going to break that down, guys, coming up in about 15 minutes.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. You can get Pinpoint Weather on the go, plus use live interactive radar with our free News 6 Pinpoint Weather app. Just search WKMG in your app store. It was a soggy end to the weekend with rain coming down for hours in downtown Orlando. Thornton Park definitely faced the brunt of it, where on some roads the water was up to people's waists. News 6's Laverne McGee went out there today to see the damage and help people prepare for when this could happen again.
It's an absolutely beautiful day here in Thornton Park, but just yesterday there was so much flooding here and water everywhere. But if you look up at the skies, absolutely beautiful today.
Storms rolled through downtown Orlando yesterday afternoon, bringing heavy rainfall for a few hours. Look at these photos that viewers sent us from the Thornton Park area. And you can see these Orange County vehicles with their wheels covered in water.
The street almost turns into a river.
News 6 spoke to people who were dealing with high flood water. There were even some cars that had to be towed out of this section of Thornton Park, a high traffic area.
Summerlin is the main road to get to your 408, your I-4, your Colonial, your main exit point. So it's a very used road.
We were wondering how all of this flooding could happen so fast. So I went to our expert, Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos, in the Pinpoint Weather Center.
All that bright red is basically where those storms collided and then they didn't move much. So we racked up between 5, 6.5 inches of rain pretty much from Winter Park southward through downtown Orlando in just a matter of about 2 hours. So a lot of these neighborhoods basically got inundated with all this rain, and all that water really didn't have places to go.
This is another location we were at yesterday, Jackson and Summerlin today. Nice, gorgeous day out, but take a look at the roads. Still lots of water left over from yesterday. One of the other locations we took you to yesterday was the corner of South and Summerlin. Today you can see the sidewalks a wet, muddy mess.
So what can you do if you find yourself in a flash flood situation?
Turn around, don't drown. At the end of the day, when the rain is coming down and the water is coming up, you don't really know where the road ends and begins sometimes, so don't question where you're going to be driving into. Just take a moment, stop, turn around if you start seeing roads flooded.
Laverne McGee, Getting Results, News 6.
Let's head outside now to the coast. Here's a live look over Daytona Beach from our Daytona Toyota Delankia camera. It looks a little ominous out there, where the storms and waves have been causing damage to the shores for years, especially a little further up the East Coast in Ormond by the Sea. That's where crews are set to start work this week on a new seawall to help protect the shore from erosion. But the project could cause traffic headaches because parts of State Road A1A will be closing down. News 6's Catherine Silver shows us why it's needed.
From Flagler to Volusia, Florida's Department of Transportation hopes to protect miles of A1A and this coastline from erosion. We're driving some of that stretch here in Ormond by the Sea, so we can see exactly where construction starts this week on a new seawall. FDOT already started construction on a wall in Flagler Beach in the spring. Here in northern Volusia County, you'll see work happening in two places. South of Sunrise to Marlin Drive, where Loggerheads is, and then north of High Bridge Road to the county line. Drivers should expect rolling lane closures as soon as Tuesday. Construction crews will start adding sand to create a platform and then start drilling the piles for the wall this fall. The total cost in both counties is more than $100 million, according to FDOT. It should be complete next year. I want to show you why they say the cost and construction are worth it. Depending on where you are on this beach, look at the drop-off. It's significant. At risk are homes and businesses. People who have watched this beach get washed away by rough surf and strong storms.
The storms seem to be getting worse. We have more than we used to.
Sang Robertson has lived in Ormond for 51 years. She's seen so much change in that time.
I used to own a home on the Ocean Shore Boulevard, and now the steps to it after the last hurricane are sitting in the air.
Who could forget these images after Hurricanes Ian and Nicole? As we enter the height of this hurricane season, what this community needs are long-term solutions, and FDOT says this is one.
We need the beach for income from the tourists, so we'll see.
In Volusia County, Catherine Silver, Getting Results, News 6.
And we know Central Florida thrives on tourism, but now the agency in charge of marketing Florida's tourism industry is planning on asking the state for a boost in funding. Visit Florida received $80 million from the state legislature in this year's budget. Originally, Governor DeSantis proposed $105 million. Now the head of the agency's Public Affairs Committee says officials will push to get $100 million during the 2025 legislative session. Visit Florida reported nearly 141 million visitors to the state in 2023, which is more than the number of visitors before the pandemic. Next year's legislative session starts in March.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's trending right now on Central Florida's #1 news website, clickorlando.com. A close call in a neighborhood after a man has allegedly fired a gun into a neighbor's home near DeLand. The reason, Alex Kudlock says, he was drunk and shooting at a tree in his backyard. He could be heard on deputies' body cam saying, quote, "Yeah, I'm dumb." Thankfully, no one in the home was hurt, but Kudlock is facing several charges, including child endangerment. I mean, shooting at a tree in your backyard through a neighbor's house.
Awful. Could have ended
Terrible.
a whole lot worse
Really
than that.
could have. Yeah, definitely.
Here are some of the other top stories online right now. Some ruins in New Smyrna Beach have been a mystery for decades until now. See what experts now think the more than 250-year-old structure was used for on clickorlando.com. And lastly, which counties in Florida have the highest unemployment rates? Sumter County is the worst in Central Florida with a 5.7% unemployment rate.
After a series of delays in the future of space, a date is now tentatively set for an all-civilian rocket launch.
Coming up, when the first available launch window opens for the highly anticipated Polaris Dawn mission.
And later, it was a party in Lake Mary this weekend as we finally got to celebrate the Little League World Series champions on their home turf. The highlights coming up.
You're watching News 6 at 6:30 live on News 6 Plus. We're getting results in Maitland, Kissimmee, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, taking a live look now over downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. It's looking darker out there right now than it was earlier tonight. Those clouds building. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas pinpointing the storms for us this afternoon.
Yeah, guys, everything pushing from east to west tonight. We do have a couple of lighter showers hanging around the coast, but for the most part, that heavy stuff is now pushed north and west of Orlando. We'll show you exactly what we're talking about as we get to the radar picture tonight, scanning our skies this evening. And this is what I'm talking about. So for us in Brevard, we have some light to moderate rain, certainly not as heavy as what we have up the road on I-95 for us in and around Palm Coast. Now, the more widespread heavy stuff, that's happening closer to I-75, and especially for us in Marion County now. We've had a new flood advisory issued by the National Weather Service, and again, that means that we have the potential for some ponding on the roadways with some very heavy rain falling in a very short amount of time. You see all the lightning strikes over the past 30 minutes that have kind of pushed from the Ocala National Forest back into downtown Ocala. So again, heads up anywhere from Fort McCoy into Reddick into downtown Ocala. That's where we have the heaviest rain right now. We still have a couple of showers in and around St. Cloud as well. Rockledge, we're on the drier side, but a couple of sprinkles just to the south and west of town tonight. Again, scanning our skies with all that heavy rain. Now, going forward into the evening, future radar missing out a little bit on the placement of this. That's why we always talk about models are guidance, not gospel. This is the prime example. All of this mess is pretty much right here, so it's missing it pretty big tonight. So I do think we are going to keep a few of these storms hanging around I-75 through about 8 o'clock. I think that has it right here with a couple of scattered downpours in the mix, mainly around Kissimmee, into Rockledge, into Mico, Palm Bay, Melbourne. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're mainly dry. A couple of little downpours popping back up tomorrow. That is 11 o'clock on your Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning. And then more storms fire up tomorrow afternoon. Note the time, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Everything keeps that motion pushing from the Atlantic to the west. The highest opportunity for rain and the heaviest rain and thunderstorm chances are going to be mainly to the west of Orlando, although through the afternoon we will see that high opportunity for pretty much everybody. 75 degrees right now. Lisa mentioned the darker clouds in the background. That's a live look with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam in downtown Orlando tonight. The breeze out of the south-southeast at about 10 miles an hour. We're at 80 in Winter Haven, 79 in Claremont, 79 also in Leesburg. Now here's a look at your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Florida Lottery.
Temperatures tomorrow hanging around 90 degrees. It will be allowed to get a little bit warmer for us along the I-75 corridor because, as we saw on future radar, those storms fire up in the east and then push to the west. So it's going to take a little bit longer for those storms to get there. We're drier for longer, so we're able to heat up a little bit more as well tomorrow afternoon. On the tropical front right now, we're doing okay, at least from a Florida perspective. Watching this tropical wave in the eastern Caribbean now, it has some thunderstorms with it. This little orange blob closer to the western Caribbean into the Yucatan extreme southwest Gulf. That's where that could become a tropical depression over the next few days. Again, this one should stay away from Florida. They're watching a beefier tropical wave coming up south of the Cabo Verde Islands. It will have the opportunity to also become a tropical depression somewhere in that orange shaded area. You see that kind of tilted away a little bit. So again, neither of these look to pose a direct threat to Florida. So we'll keep the good times rolling, at least in the Atlantic, for the next 7 days. 70% shot though for storms tomorrow as we collide those sea breezes once again. 70% shot continues through Thursday, Friday into your weekend. Temperatures pretty much status quo, hanging around 90 degrees over the next 7 days.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, this is something with the potential to be really out of this world. A new addition into the future of space tourism. A new company has sold thousands of tickets in the last few years for a slow and gentle balloon ride to the stratosphere.
Oh, News 6's James Barbero shows us a close-up of these space balloons while the capsule's being moved through Port Canaveral.
Over the last several years, as SpaceX has broken its own records with rocket launches, we've grown accustomed to seeing the boosters here at Port Canaveral. But here's something from the space industry you don't see every day. Next to that rocket booster, there's a Space Perspective capsule. That's the capsule from the company that wants to take you up 100,000 feet to see the curvature of the Earth from a space balloon. It's my first time seeing it here at the port. Another photographer out here to see Spaceship Neptune. I just met Robert. He's photographing right now. Robert tells me he actually contacted the company about riding the capsule. Robert, tell us about that process. You really wanted to ride the balloon.
Yeah, I heard about it because I follow everything in aerospace, and now I've been waiting to hear when they're going to have some good news, and then Save my pennies.
So to be clear, Robert has not bought a ticket. Those who are interested, it's about 125 grand, which they say is the cheapest access to space, right?
Yes, less than half anything else.
Well, what are your first impressions looking at it? Think it's a good looking capsule?
Oh, I love it. Very aesthetic. I'd love to see the view from inside.
Those windows are pretty big.
Yeah, lots of glass. I love it.
Those of us in the media, we had a chance to speak with Space Perspective, their CEO, Jane Pointer, last year at their facility in Titusville. Here's what they told us at the time about putting this all together for paying passengers.
Price is part of the accessibility. We are certainly less expensive than any other way to get to space, but it's also accessible because it's so comfortable, it's so gentle. There's no training, there's no special suit, any of that, no high G-forces.
And when I met Jane a year ago, Space Perspective was targeting this year for its first flights. Now the company says that could happen in 2025. At Port Canaveral, Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, Getting Results News 6.
Speaking of space, SpaceX is now cleared to fly after an FAA investigation, and they wasted no time in getting a Falcon 9 rocket back in the air.
After a successful weekend launch, we're now wondering when the highly anticipated first all-civilian crew launch is set to go off. Now, you may recall the FAA grounded flights after this surprising mishap early Wednesday morning. After an unprecedented 23 launches, the first stage booster tipped over and caught fire as it landed on a barge ship in the Atlantic. It's the first booster lost during a landing in more than 3 years. Now, the successful launch we mentioned over the weekend went off without a hitch. SpaceX launched a Starlink mission from our coast just before 4 a.m. Saturday, just hours after the agency allowed to resume Falcon 9 flights. And with the Falcon 9s given the okay to fly, a historic and record-breaking mission could finally be getting off the ground as early as this week. 4 private astronauts led by billionaire Jared Isaacman will travel further into space than anyone since the Apollo missions, which ended more than 50 years ago. The 6-day mission will take the crew into a record orbit above Earth, more than 3 times higher than the International Space Station. The launch was supposed to happen last week, but a hydrogen leak in the rocket and then weather in the splash zone delayed it twice. The crew could launch as early as Wednesday, but right now SpaceX has not confirmed that. And back here on Earth, we're still basking in the aftermath of the Lake Mary Little League championship win.
The cherry on top was their victory parade on Saturday. We're showing you the highlights as we wrap a bow on our coverage that's now lasted for several weeks. More on that when News 6 at 6:30 continues. We're back in 2 minutes. Well, it is the first week the Lake Mary Little League World Champions finally have nothing on their schedules.
Okay, well, not necessarily nothing, but it probably feels like the first week things will be returning back to normal, especially coming off the victory parade this weekend.
I don't know if returning back to normal is even possible for them
I was
anymore.
thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so I was there on Saturday alongside sports director Jamie Say, News 6 anchor Justin Warmoth, chief meteorologist Candace Campos, and Trooper Steve for a huge parade. Here's a look back at some of the highlights.
Here comes Results One now. Results One is right behind us. Let's come out. We got to talk to Trooper Steve. Trooper Steve, what's this been like for you?
This has been so awesome. #1 parade ever.
Awesome, thank you. That was great.
Lake Mary. Gets to ride with Coach Calbono through this whole thing. I mean, this is crazy, man. It's crazy to be a part of too, man. They're very, very generous by offering us this time to sit in the Corvette. We got all these people here, and what a treat it is to experience this like the boys are.
Are you surprised by the number of people who came out to say hello today?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I did not think that it was going to be like this. I saw one street where there was a lot of people, and then I realized that it just kept on going and going.
I mean, I knew that we had a lot of support, but I mean, it's like packed. I mean, it's crazy.
You didn't expect it to be this many people?
Yeah.
What's it been like since you've been back in Central Florida, back in Lake Mary? What's it been like for you?
It's been crazy seeing all the support from all these people. I know they were all watching us through the whole ride, so it's been great.
This is the most emotional I've been this whole journey because, you know, when you're up there, it feels like you're just winning another baseball game, and it's awesome, and it's beautiful up there, and it's incredible. But up here to see all of the kids, like, we're Chase's age when he started, 5, 6 years old, to see them just like looking at these kids like it's the most amazing thing. I will definitely say without a doubt, this has been the most incredible part of this.
I mean, you knew that you could hear the community support back home throughout this entire run.
But to see it like
it is different.
This is truly just, amazing. Because so many, and we've played forever here, so to see all of the kids that he's played with along the way to get here, all the parents, everybody, it's just beautiful.
You guys earned this reception.
Yeah, running miles after practice, working hard, it all came together.
Lake Mary, Florida, Lake Mary Little League, Florida Strong, representing the first team ever in the state of Florida. You were amazing out there. We got your new 6. Congratulations, Lake Mary Little League, and all you sports. It matters so much. Woo-wee. Hey, let's go, Lake Mary! Yeah! Thank you. Thank you to all of you for coming out, to supporting us. Thank you for going to all the local bars, helping them out, watching our games, shouting, screaming. I know we couldn't hear you on the field, but we knew you were watching. We knew it. We knew you were watching, and we were doing it for you guys. We love Lake Mary. We love you.
It was so fun to be out there.
Jonathan's getting hyped up back there in the weather center off camera. I saw it I saw the fist pump out of the corner of my eye.
Well, and I can tell you before the parade started, it was like a big street party.
Oh,
there
yeah.
was dancing, music. It was
so much
great.
fun.
Yeah. So News 6 was with the team from the very beginning of the tournament. It all started with anchor Justin Warmoth and News 6 photojournalist Daniel Macaluso. They spent the entire tournament with the team while they were in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, supporting them and becoming besties with the team members, their families, and fans. And then when they got home after the big win, we were there at the airport for their exit from the plane. We even had them here at WKMG last week to talk about the tournament and the fun they had. All of them, all of the players right here in this studio.
Yeah, from News 6, we just want to say one final congratulations. You can go back and watch our entire coverage of the parade and all of our past coverage from the beginning of the World Series until now. It's all on clickorlando.com.
Yeah, it's going to be a bummer next year. I hope we have another team
to cheer for the entire month of August.
What will we do?
I don't know.
What are we going to do with ourselves?
I don't know. Learned so much about Little League. It was awesome.
It was great.
It was great. All right, thanks so much for watching News 6 at 6:30. Stream News 6 online anytime on our News 6 Plus Smart TV app.
Remember, we break news at clickorlando.com. We'll see you back here tonight at 11. Have a great night.